Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Spectator Sports. This is my very special friend, Phillip Wilson here. He's another guest on the show, and I'm so happy to be having him on today. Phillip, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Sounds good. Hey, what's going on, y'all? Man, I'm so excited to be on this platform. Been a long time sports writer for a few years. I graduated from UMBC, where I first got into sports journalism. I met the coaches of few different teams, the lacrosse team from UMBC, men's basketball coach at the time of UMBC, and that really kind of got me my real kind of foray into sports writing. We've been doing it for a long time. Been a big sports fan, so just decided to be on this platform. I started my first website as well, where I do the same thing, kind of what he does, as far as like just really covering sports, kind of giving my own personal takes, and really just diving into the game, and because it's a big passion of mine. I do articles every week, pretty much NBA, WNBA topics, top headlines of the week, different storylines. So check me out at Wilson's Way Sports Network, and then you'll see a lot of great content.
Yeah, he's going to be linked in the description of this video, so feel free to take a look at that link. He has a lot of great work on there. Happy to provide you the link between both of y'all.
Appreciate that.
So he's been a great friend of mine. I've known him actually since the 8th grade. Is that right, Phillip?
We're old, yep.
Yeah. So this is 2009,
yep.
I want to say. We met in middle school. Mm-hmm. We have a great relationship on basketball. Huge fans of Kobe Bryant. Yep. So he has a lot of memorabilia, as do I. Yep. Big fans of that. And then collectively, that's just how our friendship kind of grew. So today, mostly what we're going to be talking about, at least together, is going to be a lot of NBA topics. As now with the Christmas games approaching, this is kind of when the NBA starts to take center stage, as the NFL season takes a backseat to the NBA. So there's been a lot of surprises so far in this NBA season. So to start, I wanted to talk about the Pelicans. In the last couple episodes, we've been really high on the Pelicans, as now they've beaten the Phoenix Suns, who last year were the top seed in the West. Now they're already the second seed in the West after a loss to Utah earlier this week, but still very high. I mean, Zion has been playing at an MVP-like level, right, Phillip?
Yep.
It's been phenomenal stuff, and I'm just so happy to see him healthy. But there's more than just Zion, right? Like McCollum, Brandon Ingram will be back at some point. I mean, just a very talented team from top to bottom, and I think that just this ascent has been really spectacular to watch, and I'm just excited to see what this young core can do from there. But any other surprises you think about?
Man, probably my biggest other surprise of the season has got to be Utah. I think with them, they were a team I thought would be in the Wembanyama sweepstakes. Team I didn't expect.
We love a Wembanyama sweepstakes. Yeah.
Right. I didn't expect it, but specifically a lot of players I think are really having, very surprising seasons. Guys you could arguably say their most improved type seasons. I look at Lauri Markkanen having a very phenomenal season.
I think he's an all-star this year.
I agree. Yeah. Nobody had that
covered. Him and Clarkson. I mean, they definitely deserve some type of praise to me. And also, Utah's hosting the All-Star game this year.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that's a good point.
So maybe they definitely do that kind of hometown player. At least one player. I think maybe Lauri makes the All-Star team.
Lauri's got.
He's been the leading scorer, but I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Jordan Clarkson sneaks in too. It'll be tough. We'll see. The Warriors. I do a weekly Warriors watch, and now Steph is hurt with that shoulder injury. So what it is a subluxation injury. That means it's like a partial dislocation. Basically means the joint is unstable and it can kind of dislocate at any point in time. So that's a very fragile injury, and the Warriors have been pure garbage without him, right?
Past 5 seasons.
Right? We remember when he had that wrist injury in the 2019-2020 season. He only played 5 games. The Warriors just fell off a cliff, and they were in the lottery. So now I don't know if they'll do that, but I'm very, very concerned. Now this go around, they do have Clay. Now he's not the same Clay as he used to be, but he's still Clay at some points in time. He doesn't play back-to-backs, as he shouldn't. They have an improved Jordan Poole, so we'll see what happens, but it's dicey. It's not dicey right now, right? Also want to talk about another surprise is the Sacramento Kings.
Yes, like the beam.
Yes, like the beam.
Yes.
And we all know that they've been having a huge playoff drought. It's been at least 14, 15 years.
Yep.
They've been close a couple times, but now seems like they're firmly entrenched to actually make the postseason, not even the play-in. As right now they're the 5th seed in the Western Conference. I'm a huge fan, like I said before, of De'Aaron Fox. I think as both Lakers fans, we used to relish the days back in 2017. We should have gotten Swiper, but we decided to pick Lonzo.
Thanks,
Magic. I'm still looking for that Lonzo Ball jersey hanging in the rafters that he said, but
oh gosh,
I
forgot he said that, bro.
Oh, he did say that, and I laughed because I haven't.
I told you out. It was a dark moment in my life.
Oh no, I haven't been able to find it. So we got fleeced by LeVar. What are you gonna do? So I wanted to talk about some bold predictions between the both of us. For me, with Steph's injury being him missing about a few weeks, according to Adrian Wojnarowski, I think it's a very big possibility that it could be that the Warriors could end up missing the play-in tournament entirely. That's a bold take, but we've seen, like we talked about just earlier, that they've had a huge drop-off without Steph Curry. So
only a month though, far as the injury though.
Yeah, but that's a huge amount of time. I mean, right now they're still below 500, right?
Right above the Lakers, I think.
Yeah, so I mean, this is an opportunity for the teams below them to surpass the Warriors and even get a cushion whenever Steph comes back. Right. It's a very big possibility. So he'll return with a vengeance, nonetheless, but they need to find a way to build a cushion because Steph will be coming back. He's not done for the year.
Right.
Also, with Phoenix having this little issue with finishing games, they've been on a little bit of a losing streak, even including a couple losses to the Pelicans and then also to
the
Rockets, who were a 9-win team, I think, at that point. So Rockets have some talent, but they're not world beaters, right? So I think with them in this kind of funk and also with Chris Paul's injury history, I think for me, I'm going to predict that they get knocked out in the first round. Right now, they're slated to play a team like the Kings, but they could play, any one of those teams. The Trailblazers, I think the Trailblazers could take them. The Clippers can do it too.
If Kawhi plays, we got to see that.
Yeah, if Kawhi plays. But I think it's time to definitely say that the Suns could be out of the first round. It is the end of the championship window. I will say that. I'm not going to say first round loss, but it's hard to pick them this year, especially with what happened last year. I had them winning last year, going to the finals last year. I'm not going to say, I don't know if I had them win, I can't remember, but I had them at least going to the finals last year. But for them to get, dominated by Luka in the second round, in Game 7, no less. At home?
Yeah.
By a lot, yeah.
By 1 million points. So I knew going into this year, I couldn't pick them to win a championship or go past like a conference final or anything like that. But I'm like, first round, it wouldn't shock me, but I would say that, like, I don't think it's going to happen. I will say that.
Yeah. I agree. I think their window has closed since 2022, since that second round exit. They were lucky they had a lot of things go their way in 2021, and then they built off of that for most of 2022. So we'll see what they can do, but I definitely think that an early round exit is a big possibility for the Phoenix Suns.
Oh man, let's see. The next topic, I think I got to shout out the Knicks. So they've had a really phenomenal season so far. Kind of a shaky start with the new piece that they added with Jalen Brunson, but he's gotten better. So as the Knicks, as a team, they've looked really good over the last few games. I think they're a team that could really have some damage in the East, which we haven't really been able to say in the recent history. Sorry, Knicks fans. I really think with the talent they have around them, what they put together, I like the young guy, Quentin Grimes. He's been a really good shooter for them. I think with the talent they have all around, they're a team that could sneak into the top 4 seed in the West and then the East, and really could do some damage. I think with their big three really coming together as R.J. Barrett started to step his game up a little bit to match up with the way Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle have been playing, because Randle's been a double-double machine. I think averaging like over 25 a game in these last few games, especially in this win streak. He's been dominant. They beat the Bulls in back-to-back road games, which is very impressive.
Is it the Bulls?
I think with part of that win streak,
Okay.
On the
No,
road,
a 6-game win streak, regardless in the NBA, is good.
And the more so the dominance, because it's not just win the games. The second one, the first one was close overtime.
Right.
Second one, they destroyed them.
Okay. Yeah.
That's why I say like when I say like very impressive in the sense of like you beat teams you're supposed to beat. And you dominate. So I thought that was very impressive.
Gotcha.
Just not just the Bulls win necessarily, but kind of the overall win streak.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because like I feel like games like that, especially when it's a familiar opponent, those can be trap games.
Oh,
in the street,
NBA, any team can win on any given night. I think the Knicks, that's a possibility. Mm-hmm. This really depends on matchups, right? That's the whole thing in the playoffs. So we'll see. But yeah, I like that bold take. So Miami. What do you think about Miami?
Baby. This year it's been a lot more Tyler Hero. He's been playing great this year. He definitely has earned his money, that new extension that he's gotten. But I don't know. It just this year I don't feel like it's coming together. They're 15-15 on the season. They're the 7th seed, and they're at the point of the season where like when you're 30 games in, and there's teams so far ahead of you, because the East this year is probably the better conference in the West.
Yeah. So East is far superior.
Exactly. That's why I say with that, once you're this far behind, it's hard to catch up. Because if you're a 7th seed, you're playing Milwaukee. That's the first round exit.
Oh yeah, that's
what I'm saying.
A buzzsaw. I mean,
right.
Either that or if you sink to the 8th, then it's Boston.
That's if you get the play in.
Yeah,
that's if you get that.
Yeah, if you even get there. I mean, I would probably raise you one. Mm-hmm. I'd say that they don't even make the playoffs. I would have them make the play-in tournament. Okay. But that would be like a 10-9 seed. Now, they may win one of those games as a 9 and then lose against in that 8-9 matchup. Right. I think since losing PJ Tucker has been a huge thing for them. That's a huge veteran piece. But also in general, I mean, this team, other than Jimmy and Tyler Hero, I mean, hasn't shown a lot of dominance on offense. And another thing, though, Bam has kind of taken a step back, I think, right? We kind of tried to anoint him as this Giannis stopper, remember? I don't know about that. He's had injuries, very good defensive player, awesome two-way player. But I don't know. I think for Bam, he needs to elevate back to that type of level that he was playing 2-3 years ago. That's a huge reason why. That's part of the recent descent of the Miami Heat.
And then I think also that their bench, they haven't had the bench depth that they've had over previous seasons. They have, you have Bam, Jimmy, Tyler averaging over 20 points a game, but outside of those three guys, where's Kyle Lowry? You don't really see Victor Oladipo, who just came back into the lineup. So.
Kyle hasn't been really effective since probably that really bad hamstring injury last year, and then he was in and out of the playoffs too. Personally, I just think it's
about that time.
Yeah, it's about that. Yeah, his career is coming to an end. He's had an awesome career. I
Hall of Famer.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I think he's going to be a Hall of Famer. What he's done for Toronto. Best Raptor, in my opinion. All-time Raptor. So just with that significance being that like number 2 option on that Raptors team, or maybe 3, I guess. Lowry isn't a Hall of Famer, but it's time for him to hang it up after the season. So with the Christmas Day games, that's probably the best day for the NBA in the early part of the season, at least, as now the football season is kind of winding down to a close before the playoffs. So that kind of is the NBA's day. They do have some competition this year with the NFL having their own slate of games, but not really enticing. So I wanted to talk about particularly the NBA slate, to start off with the Knicks taking on the Philadelphia 76ers. Pretty good matchup. I mean, both teams are in the thick of it in the Eastern Conference. Right now, 5-6 in the Eastern Conference. So big matchup there. I mean, the Sixers now have been getting James Harden back after that foot injury.
Could have Tyrese back too as well.
Yeah,
Tyrese Maxey.
Oh man, if Tyrese back, I think that's definitely favoriting the Sixers. But we'll see what happens. The Knicks, as Phillip said, has been a pretty nice story. They've been feisty for sure. But to make a pick, I would probably go with the Philadelphia 76ers for that game.
Ooh, I'm the opposite, man. I think I got to go with the Knicks. They've been very good at home recently. I think I love the way they're playing, especially those three guys. Kind of really stepping up. Like I said, that big three and Brunson, Randall, and Barrett. They've really kind of given you what you hope for. Really coming together nicely. So I think if they can continue this win streak, I don't know if they'll have the win streak going into the Christmas Day. But if they can continue playing this level of basketball, and also the team, the overall team around them, like I mentioned, another guy, Quentin Grimes, if he continues to shoot the ball like that, like The Sixers, they're good. But sometimes there is an over reliance on Joel Embiid.
Yeah, they're very. It's the lack of assertion of James Harden, really, because he needs to be a little bit less OKC, Brooklyn Nets, James Harden, and be Houston Rockets.
Can he do it though? Is he?
Yeah, that's the real thing. Has he tapped into it? Yeah, like 20% of the time, but not consistently. And then health is a big thing. He has said he's been in good shape. I think he's in good shape. It's just now getting over this foot injury is going to be an issue. But if he can be that scoring output, I mean, I think he can run an offense to precision. And then also, like we said, like Tyrese Maxey is a huge part. Overall, they're a pretty good coach team. They're definitely going to be a contender or a sleeper team in the Eastern Conference, but I'm not really sure. But I personally believe that they have a better shot against the Knicks, but we'll see. With the Lakers and Mavs, we have a really nice matchup of two teams fighting for positioning to make the play-in tournament. Personally, I would say that the Lakers would win that matchup just based on what they could do with Anthony Davis with his availability. That's a huge factor into my prediction. But overall, I just think the Lakers have more options to score. They've been playing better basketball than the Mavs. The Mavs have been all over the place. They kind of wake up for certain matchups, but then they drop games against teams that have kind of no business beating them. So what are your thoughts with the Lakers and Mavs?
I'm in the same boat. It does come down to AD plays. I feel like if AD plays, especially plays up to his potential, which he has over the recent set of games.
That's always the question.
It's always the question. I think, obviously, that's the major point. Obviously, when it comes to a game when you're playing Luka Doncic, if Luka gives you some crazy Luka game, like he's capable of doing, some 40-point triple-double, obviously that's going to be a tough matchup for anybody. But I got to go Lakers here. I know they haven't had the best record on the road, but I feel like with their team that's been steadily improving. And I feel like they just combined as a roster, they have more total help around their superstar of Anthony Davis. So I feel like with LeBron
options, the options in terms of reliable scores is really why I would pick the Lakers. Maybe even without Davis. Now that would be a stretch. It's also 50-50 with Davis, but even without Davis, the Lakers have Russell Westbrook,
Lonnie Walker's playing really good basketball.
So they have some options.
And Mavs had actually for big loss. They lost, I believe, Maxi Kleber to a recent injury. So he's a big part of their team.
That's another shooter off their bench. Solid minutes for sure. So losing Kleber is a big deal. And probably the best of the Christmas Day slate is the Bucks and Celtics. Yes. I mean, these two teams met in the conference semis and gave us a 7-game classic last year. The Bucks are looking for revenge. Obviously, this game is going to be played in Boston, so that's the site of that Game 7. They could be on a collision course in the Eastern Conference Finals. So I think really based down to it now with Chris Middleton having a few games to warm himself up for this heavyweight fight matchup. I think he'll be ready to go. That's a luxury that the Bucks didn't have last season, and they still were pushed to 7 games. This is kind of the same Celtics team, just add on Malcolm Brogdon. That's a huge piece. But I think in terms of the whole spectrum of things, I would say just because they have Giannis, personally the best player in the league. So with that in mind, I would say the Bucks would win that matchup against the Celtics. Now, that wouldn't mean that they would just leapfrog them to be the top seed in the East. They would still be like a half game back, maybe, depending on how that goes. But still, I would pick the Bucks.
Now, fantastic matchup. 2 best teams in the league, in my opinion. I think this could be a Game of the Year candidate. For the Bucks, I thought they would have gone to the finals if Chris Middleton had played.
100%.
Obviously, with him getting hurt, they changed the whole series in the Celtics' favor. With Chris Middleton being back, I think this is big for him. And for his hit, by the time we get to Christmas Day, he'll have plenty of games under his belt. He's been doing solid recently with him being back, but I think the Bucks definitely should get this game. So I think it's a big win for the Bucks.
Also, the Bucks have actually won the chip too compared to these Celtics. Now, the Celtics have been probably one of the most talented teams in the last half decade or so. They've made Eastern Conference Finals after Eastern Conference Finals and finally broke through to the finals last season. It's now, and Tatum obviously has been a spectacular superstar, definitely in the lead, I think, for the MVP race this year. Giannis is still the overall best player. He's a two-way player, and it comes down to whose big two is going to be probably more dominant. I mean, I think Tatum and Giannis can kind of offset each other. And then I still would actually say that Brown probably would be the better between him and Chris Middleton. But then it comes down to role players. As a team, I think, the Bucks can find a way to do it over the Celtics, but we'll see.
I think the biggest matchup you might have been missing, actually, I think is the defensive anchors. Who among Brook Lopez and Robert Williams is going to have a more impactful matchup? He just got back. So Drew Holiday, who's a defensive player of the year candidate.
That's right. Yeah, don't forget about Drew Holiday. We had to put
please give him respect.
Yeah, he deserves respect. Absolutely.
But I think with that match, that's when you got to watch out for with him being back, battling down low. He's a great lob threat. I think with the Celtics not at full strength, the Bucks at full strength. I think we'll really see who's a better team for sure now.
We'll knock on wood for everyone to be healthy for that matchup.
Please.
I mean, right now, given that the game so far that we talked about, this is easily the best matchup for Christmas Day. So the next matchup is the Memphis Grizzlies and the Golden State Warriors. Obviously, with Steph being out, I think this is probably going to be a heavily favored matchup for the Grizzlies. Now, this kind of is evening things up. Remember now, Ja missed the last 3 games of the Western Conference semifinals, and that was kind of it for the Grizzlies at that point. I think this is going to be a quick, in and out game for the Grizzlies. They have circled this game since the schedule came out. I mean, they wanted their revenge or whatever that can be. This is a regular season game, doesn't mean a lot, but it means more to these Grizzlies. I mean, they're a young up and coming team, and they want to get their respect. They want to shove the older Warriors out, right? They're tired of them, and they want to say it's time for the young guns to step up in the Western Conference.
Man, I'm going to just tell y'all straight up. I think in this game, if you haven't had dinner already, that's the perfect time to get dinner. This game is not going to be that good.
Nap.
Yeah. Take a nap, get dinner, have the itis, whatever you want to do. This game is probably going to be a blowout. I don't see this happening. I know the Warriors are a better team at home. They're apparently, it's a Jekyll and Hyde effect. They're 12-2 at home.
Truly.
Right. 2-14 on the road. Yeah. So I think with them playing at home, like you might think, this might be a better game. No, it's not. The Grizzlies are gonna come in like gangbusters and really honestly dominate. I got Ja giving them 30 and then taking a nap in the fourth quarter. This is gonna be a game.
I mean, they were doing the wave against the Bucks, right? So when the Grizzlies can win, they know how to really pour it on and then do some antics on the bench. It's up for debate whether it's too much. I think people are just having fun with it. Exactly. I think you kind of have something up your butt if you have a problem with it. That's my personal.
If you don't like it, beat them.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly,
100%. If you don't like it,
beat them.
Make them shut up by beating them. 100%.
Just like Cam back in the day. You're doing the damn thing. You don't like it. Don't let him score.
He wasn't dabbing against the Broncos that year. Yeah. So overall, I mean, that's going to be probably the most unenticing matchup just due to the injury.
Get well soon, Steph.
Yeah, get well soon, Steph. I mean, they'll be back against each other sooner when Steph's healthy for sure. And then the final game is the Phoenix Suns and the Denver Nuggets. These two teams have met in the postseason a couple of years ago. Definitely, though, this is a team without Jamal Murray at that time. Now Jamal is back, fully healthy, looking pretty good. Robin to Jokic's Batman for the Denver Nuggets. And then overall, I think the Nuggets have been a really enticing unit. I mean, they've made some moves helping out with KCP. That's been a great addition for them in terms of a 3-and-D player for them. And also Michael Porter Jr., very solid player, young prospect for them. I think, like we talked about earlier, the Nuggets have been on the ascent now with a retooled roster. A healthy Jamal Murray is going to be a big help for that. But I think the Nuggets win this matchup.
I got to go against you here, B.
Okay.
I think Suns got it. I think they're at the point now where like they had the losing streak. In a long season, there's ebbs and flows. I think they had their the low point with losing a lot of games in a row. I forgot how many they. I think it was like 4 or 5 straight games. I know a lot of games came when they lost to the Pelicans and also the Rockets. You mentioned that earlier. But I think now, I know also Devin Booker missed a couple of those games, so kind of watch out for that too. Chris Paul also was trying to figure things out, coming back into the lineup. But I think now, if they can stay healthy, keep Chris Paul healthy, keep Devin Booker healthy for that matchup. I think DeAndre Ayton also recently got injured, so got to see how that ankle is. But if they can come into the game healthy, I think the Suns can take that on the road. I think they need this win. they need to have such an urgency. They're the point in the season now where like they have to go.
It could go into free fall or something. Yeah. They were one time the top seed, and now they've been losing a bevy of games. My personal thing is like who could match up against Jokic. I think
nobody.
Nobody can. Yeah. And Aiden's probably definitely not high on that list of people that could, because he's not known for defensive prowess. He's a solid pick and roll center. Good rebounder too, but it's just so hard to guard a guy like Jokic. He's so crafty. Doesn't blow you out of the water in terms of athleticism, but this night really knows where to place the ball in terms of passing, and then also jump shooting. So
I think the best defense in that matchup, the best defense for Ayton has to be his offense. I think Ayton has to be aggressive. He's not going to shut down Jokic. You don't expect that, play much defense at all. But if you could be aggressive on the offensive end and attack Jokic, I think that can help out and wear him down.
Again, get him maybe into foul trouble. That's one thing. But again, my thing is like I question like Anthony Davis having that dog in him. It's the same thing with Ayton. He hasn't shown that dog in him or that aggressiveness to assert himself, because he was the top overall pick in 2019. And for those types of players, you see like they kind of relish that superstar mantra. They in clutch time they ask for the ball, they demand the ball. We know one option, 1A is Devin Booker, and then maybe it's Chris Paul, and then probably you could even say Mikal Bridges is option 3 before Ayton. But Ayton's got to step it up. But we'll see how that matchup comes out for Christmas Day.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So now we wanted to do a little segment with buy or sell for a few teams in the NBA. For me, I wanted to start off with the LA Clippers. Personally, I would sell on them just because they're just a talented roster. That's been the calling card for the Clippers since they brought in Kawhi and Paul George. It's just a matter of getting all these puzzle pieces to fit together. I like John Wall coming off the bench. I like Norm Powell. But again, the other thing is injuries. So that's the reason. Load management too. So very talented team. I think they would be maybe a dark horse team, but I can't say that they're a true team to be reliable in the playoffs. So I would sell my stock personally on the Clippers.
Now for me, I agree with V with the Clippers sell. They're a team roster wise, championship roster. I don't think anyone argues that. They're a team I had going into preseason, the team I go into probably favored to dethrone the Warriors, probably make a finals run. But I think it's at one point it's like you have talent, but if you don't value the regular season, I think when it comes down to like you can't just say, oh well, we're healthy at the right time, like that's good enough. No, it's not. I think you have to have it to a point where you have cohesion. Everyone knows their role. Everyone is in a flow offensively and defensively.
You can't just throw players into a court and say, like, play basketball together.
You got to respect the game.
Yeah. Chemistry, cohesion, like you said, matters. Absolutely. We've seen so many, super teams be put together and they've flopped, right? I think the latest one was the Nets. And there's been so many super teams been attempted to put together, but they've flopped. So yeah, we'll see what happens with the Clippers. For my next team, I wanted to say I would personally sell on the Knicks too. They are solid. I think, that's a bold thing for them to make the second round, but I think, they would be happy just to make the playoffs in general. I think they could be a fringe playoff team, but I really think they're more of a play-in tournament team that makes the playoffs. So we'll see what happens with the Knicks, but I would sell on the Knicks.
For me, another sell, I got to go with the team that had a lot of talk in the offseason, had a really big blockbuster trade that really has gone south. Timberwolves, I don't know what you're doing, but it's not working.
It's not working.
It's bad.
All those assets for Gobert, mortgage the future for him. It's he got picked apart by who was it? By the Clippers.
Yep. Terrence Mann.
Yeah.
Terrence had 5 out, shoot threes.
Yeah. So, I don't know what's going on with the Timberwolves. They had a pretty good season last year. They were trying to build on it, but That's not the move I would make to build off of that season.
To me, it's the classic example of a team that like they have a little bit of taste of winning, and then they overcompensate because you have two young star players, Anthony Edwards, and you have Carlton Towns. Build around those two guys. I don't think you even needed a big blockbuster trade for Rudy Gobert. At least if you did, it could have been somebody else that could have been a better fit.
I think, if anything, they needed like a true point guard to organize the offense.
Russell's
not a big man, because Cat is a pretty solid defender of the paint. And it doesn't, I mean, now we don't have a twin tower concept anymore in the NBA. That's like a dinosaur concept of a decade ago at the latest, maybe. So two true bigs on the lineup at the same time, no matter how...
Clogging the paint.
Yeah, they're clogging the paint. And then no matter how... well, they can say they guard the outside, they don't have the foot speed to match up with these smaller wing players or even guards. So guards just go right around Gobert. So not sure what they were doing there. Another team I want to talk about is the Sacramento Kings. I would buy on the Sacramento Kings.
Me too.
Now, all of these teams, they have different expectations coming in. The Kings have obviously exceeded expectations by far. I personally had them missing the play-in tournament entirely.
Really?
I mean, historically, I mean, their front office hasn't been making a lot of great moves, but I mean, now with Domantas Sabonis, I mean, he's been working in as being that forward player that organizes the offense. He's had a string of triple-doubles. De'Aaron Fox is great. And also, I mean, their coach, Mike Brown. And their coach, Mike Brown, has been phenomenal. I mean, he's been a longtime coach with the Cleveland Cavaliers and then also been part of Steve Kerr's staff. Great NBA mind. I think the Kings are a team that you can buy into as a solid Western Conference playoff team and maybe even make the second round. We'll see.
I agree. I the same way. They were a team going into the season. I wasn't really honestly thinking about it at all. But I think they did the right move. I know people criticize the Tyrese Halliburton move, moving him to the Pacers.
Myself included, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think it's been a great move. I think as good as Tyrese was for that team and as much Tyrese wanted to be there, that was also something I thought that was kind of disappointing with them moving a guy who wanted to be there because who wants to play for Sacramento? With having Domantas Sabonis, they have a great guy who is a great interior scorer, great passer from the paint. De'Aaron Fox is playing great basketball with him. I think they've found a great combo together, punch together.
I think they're also, at least one of them could be an all-star this season. Yeah.
Definitely De'Aaron, if not both of them.
Yeah.
If not both,
yeah. I mean, there are injuries this year, and a lot of spots could open up. But I would lean De'Aaron to be the all-star member of this Kings team. But Sabonis could be there for sure.
And the supporting cast. I like to shout out Kevin Huerter. Shooting the ball very well this year.
Former Terp.
Former Terp, another, actually a former Laker who I thought we'd get back, who went to the Kings, Malik Monk. He's been playing well this year.
Malik Monk he's been having a stellar couple of seasons, with last year being with the Lakers and then also this year with the Kings. I was a big fan of him when he was in Kentucky, too.
Me too.
He went over to Charlotte, and I mean, I think his rookie year was decent, then he had injuries.
Up and down.
Charlotte is an up and down organization too. Yeah, Malik Monk's having a solid year. So again, buy in on the Sacramento Kings.
I have another one. Let's see. For buy list, I got to go with the Cleveland Cavaliers this year. Another team that made a big trade, acquiring Donovan Mitchell in a trade.
Biggest blockbuster trade.
He's been exactly what you could expect. I know the Knicks are sad because they thought they'd get him. Sorry about that. But Donovan's been playing amazing. He's been leading the team. I think they have a top 4 seed in the East right now.
Yeah, they're top 3.
Yep.
And then also to piggyback off of these praises for Donovan Mitchell, he's stepped up also as a playmaker too. Remember when Darius Garland was missing early in action with that eye injury? He was definitely going to be that playmaker in terms of not just shooting but also setting up the offense as like a point guard. And then also what we've known about Donovan Mitchell, he's been kind of a suspect perimeter defender. He's taken a really big step forward. So nowhere near being a lockdown defender, but there is an active effort there, and that's what really defense is, right? Yeah. It's effort. Anybody can really compete on the defensive end, and even without having the foot speed or the length, really just shifting your feet, keeping yourself between the basket and the opposing offensive player is what it's really about. So, like you said, I definitely agree with your point. I would buy into the Cleveland Cavaliers this year.
I could say, do you agree with my point? I say conference finals is their ceiling.
Yeah, I think that's a relative season. Now, yeah, that's their relative ceiling. They definitely have to beat either Milwaukee or Boston, that's a tough ask, but they
Not
played.
happening.
But well, I wouldn't say
Really?
that. No, but they beat Boston earlier this season twice.
That's true. That's true.
So that's a decent
Playoffs-
sample
playoffs different
size.
animal, though.
No, playoffs are a different animal, and that was November basketball. Whole different season, obviously,
Exactly.
compared to April, May, and June in the NBA. But they have the firepower. I wouldn't be so quick to discount the Cavaliers in a matchup in the conference semis against either the Bucks or the Boston Celtics. But yeah, they could be a dark horse too to make the conference finals. And you wanted to talk about the Pacers, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Big pickup this year with Tyrese Halliburton, how they traded for him last season. I'm really impressed with him. I think he's leading the league in assists, playing great basketball, averaging about 20 a game and 11 assists. So he's been a double machine. I think that they could be pretty special. They're a team that people thought would be a bottom team in the East. Possibly make moves with the Lakers for talk about the Miles Turner, Buddy Hield trade.
Yeah, but they want to.
Yeah.
I guess they're standing pat with their roster and they're doing
I would.
pretty well. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would too at this point, exceeding expectations like with other teams that we talked about. So I agree. Yeah, definitely.
Don't forget the rookie too, Bennett Mathurin.
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say, the rookie has been phenomenal this season as well. Overall, pretty solid squad for the Indiana Pacers.
Absolutely. And by the way, Bennett and Mathurin could be a candidate for winning the first ever to do a Rookie of the Year and Sixth Man of the Year combination. That's never happened before in the history.
Yeah.
So I do think he deserves a start, but hey, the Coach Carlisle said, hey, he's playing very well with the second group. Fits so well.
The
Why
six-man role is very integral to an NBA offense. It's just because it's just like having a starter take advantage of second units on the other team. That's what Manu Ginobili made his bread and butter.
Hall of Fame career.
Yeah, so now you sacrifice all-star games and all NBA teams and maybe a bigger contract with that. But I mean, if you're truly a team member and like a team first kind of guy, it's obviously a big ask. But if you're about that, Sixth Man of the Year is a great award to win. That's kind of exemplifying sacrifice for the team's overall benefit.
Absolutely.
So for the last segment in this collab with Phillip, I wanted to talk about the MVP conversation, give a list of some top 3 players in the league, starting off with Jason Tatum. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. He's been having a phenomenal year, leading the Celtics to the best record in the league. Makes sense to be him being the leading contender for the MVP trophy, but what about your take?
He's the easy pick. I feel like right now, the Celtics, with them being the best team in the league, with the way he's been playing, Jason Tatum, especially coming off a finals appearance where he didn't play his best basketball. I think he admitted that in plenty of interviews. But I think at this point, like he's now come up with a real big chip on the shoulder, knowing his team was that close to winning the finals against a great opponent in the Warriors. Came up short, but now, like I think this year he's really coming for it. So I think this year he until like he has some kind of like say drop performance or said so to say maybe dropping the standings. To me, he's got to be the favorite for MVP this year.
Agreed. Yeah, he's been phenomenal. I think it makes sense for him to be the leading candidate as well. And then their second candidate we were going to talk about was Ja. I mean, he's been part of this upstart Memphis Grizzlies team that is now 1 in the Western Conference. A slight edge over Zion, his 2019 draft counterpart, just because he has been a little bit more healthy, and then now also the tiebreaker, I think, with Memphis being slightly ahead. So I think that's just how close it is between 2 and 3 in the MVP race. But also Zion's been having a phenomenal year as well. Really being the difference from the Pelicans being a play-in team, fringe playoff team, to being an elite contender in the Western Conference.
No, I agree. Ja's been amazing. I think this year they're a team I could really see making that finals run. As someone I'm going to talk about in a future article very, very soon. I look out for that in a couple of days. But I think the Grizzlies, they're really a team as far as them being a young team. Like they're not that team that like you look as being young and like inexperienced. They have that playoff loss under their belt where they thought they could have gone to the conference finals against the Warriors. Came up short after losing Ja Morant, but now with Ja back healthy, like I think they're another team I see could make a finals run. And Ja's kind of leading the way, so I could see them. I can see as long as they maintain that high seed, Ja's gonna have to be at least another leading candidate as well.
Yeah. So it would take like a massive drop off from Tatum's side, either like the team as the Celtics were to drop in the conference standings, or some injury or something happens. But yeah, I think to conclude, it's Tatum's award to lose, but then 2 and 3 is pretty kind of flip-flopping between Ja and then Zion.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but that's it for this episode of Spectator Sports. Please take a look at Phillip's page. It's linked in the description. And until next time, I'll catch you later.